Did you see the Witcher author talk about Gurm? So we can
Oh
get back
yeah,
to
let's
what this.
talk about that. What a joke.
Well, hold on. Did you read
No,
the whole
no, I
thing?
did. I did read the whole
Okay,
thing.
okay,
And
go ahead.
he's like, look, and I know George, but then he fires off at him. And it's like, bro, look, here's the deal. They don't compare. I'll say it. The Witcher as a fantasy series is not nearly as good as A Song of Ice and Fire. I'm sorry. I know the games are beloved. I know people think that Witcher 3 is like top 5, top 10 RPG ever.
Our Polish audience is going to be pissed.
And that's a fair thing. That's a fair criticism. But I have also read the Witcher books, and compared to A Song of Ice and Fire, they are not close. Also, TV medium, the Witcher TV show couldn't even lick Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon's bootstraps. Okay, I mean, let's get that out of the way in the first place. It doesn't matter if you finish books and George hasn't finished books when the books you write are not nearly as good. I could go write 20 books today. Right, I could just fire off Chat GPT and say, write me 20 totally different fantasy books, but that doesn't mean they're going to be as good as A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt very unnecessary. Now, I will say I thought he recovered pretty well by saying, I know George personally, and I can understand why he would be demotivated whenever someone takes your show or your story and ruins it like this. And the biggest annoyance out of this is just it's sparking the same comments on social media that are always there, and it's like, George knows that was his ending, so everyone hated it. Now he doesn't want to write it. I'm like, we know for a fact that's not true. We know that, and I've said this before, but it just drives me crazy. People just make up shit and then they just say it like it's true. And I'm like, God, I don't know if the internet was a mistake or not, but those times it feels like it makes me so irate because it's a Google search away to know if you're correct. But instead, they're just like, I think I'll just say this like a fact. Like that'd be cool with me. But with I always mess up his name, so I'm going to try to say it. But I don't know. I just thought it was a weird thing. Like, you're going to finish your book next year or whatever. And he's like, yeah, unlike George R. R. Martin. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? Yeah. Why do that? Not a good look for him. I would say. I'm sure more people would probably say it's not.
He has less control over his franchise than George does.
Yeah,
because he sold everything to CD Projekt Red. He basically can't even do anything with it.
Yeah, and I also it was kind of weird for him that I obviously like no one was happy with season 8 for the most part, but like I don't know, he was like, imagine someone making a TV show and like going against like the story, and I'm like, bro, did you see
The Witcher?
Did you see your show? Because
in fact, actually, most people argued that when they did go away from the story, it was better. Like people liked
this redemption
people liked season 2 of The Witcher way more than they liked season 1. And you know what they did? They went away from the books, and then you had all the book people complaining. So no, it was absurd. I saw it and I was like, this is absurd. And that's not to say I don't. And that's not to say I don't like The Witcher. Like I liked the books. I've liked what I've played of the game. I think The Witcher 4 looks freaking fantastic. I don't care if I'm playing as Geralt or Ciri or the freaking horse. Okay, the game looks good. So, but it's just not. Come on, bro.
Do you think there's any part of him that thinks like, hey, if I diss George in this, like it'll get more publicity? Do you think that's on his head, or do you think he's just kind of
I think that he's just who he is. And
yeah, I don't know. It certainly didn't make me like him anymore. But I don't know if I cared about him before this either. I've read the Witcher books, some of the Witcher books.
I mean, they're good. They're good. They're not.
Yeah,
I don't consider them great. I would not.
So they suffer from translation, by the way. So a lot of people actually criticize the books in English because the writing it leaves a lot to be desired, but it is a translated work. And I've heard that in Polish, it's phenomenal. That like it reads really well. It's like beautifully written and things, but we simply don't get that experience over here. So it's always been kind of the canon and opinion of book nerds that The Witcher is written very poorly. I don't know how true that is, considering that it's translated. But my point would be that I don't think it's nearly as interesting of a story as A Song of Ice and Fire for my own personal taste. Right. So, frankly, I don't really give it what he thinks.